This is Generation Stadia, giving you that daily dose of everything and anything Stadia related, and today we're going to be going over a quick preview of the Stadia Pro games for February 2020. So in case you haven't heard, Google has now confirmed that the games for Stadia Pro being added next month are GYLT and Metro Exodus. And before we get into the details of each game, I just want to state the fact that this is probably the best month for Stadia Pro so far. Both of these titles are solid and I highly recommend you go check them out. Anyways, let's get right into this preview, starting with GYLT. This game happens to be the one Stadia exclusive release so far, and it comes from the developers over at Tequila Works. I will point out that the game is currently sitting at a 68 on Metacritic, but I definitely don't agree with that score for multiple reasons. Either way, we'll talk about that in just a sec. Now when we're looking at playthrough length, we're talking about 6 to 7 hours, and you could probably tack on an extra hour to find all the collectibles and get that hidden ending. Now when it comes to the game itself, it's a stealth-based horror game, but the horror aspect is kind of entry level. What I'm trying to say is that it's not overly scary, it's very much so horror in the same way a Tim Burton film is, and it's built for all ages. The storyline itself is well written and definitely has a message to send across to everyone who plays it. The game was definitely built around this certain message, and it's clear to see that Tequila Works put a lot of love and care into this title. As for the gameplay itself, it plays solidly, but I do have to admit it can feel a little bit repetitive. But there are some interesting mechanics sprinkled throughout, and I would recommend you go out and play it. I actually enjoyed my time with the game quite a bit. Either way, I'll leave it at that, and if you really want to know more about the game, click on the annotation above where I actually reviewed the title, and don't worry, I kept it as spoiler-free as possible. Up next is Metro Exodus, and honestly, I love this game. In fact, it's probably one of my favorite titles in the past few years that's released, and I highly recommend you go and play it. This is a narrative-driven first-person shooter developed by A4 Games that's currently ranked at an 82 on Metacritic. As for how long it'll take you to beat, you're looking at around 15 hours for the main campaign, but if you want to do the side missions and be the completionist type, it'll probably be around 35 to 40 hours. Right off the bat, I have to give credit because this game is extremely immersive. Not only does it look absolutely amazing as you can tell by the footage, but it also has a very strong narrative to draw you in. In the world that is Metro Exodus, you'll be facing against multiple groups of humans who have banded together and are trying to survive in this wasteland. And as you can imagine, many of the people you'll come into contact with aren't gonna be so friendly, but they're the least of your worries because you'll also have to be worried about all the mutated creatures. There's a good variety of creatures to face, but if that still sounds too easy, then don't worry because the environment itself is trying to kill you. After all, the only thing protecting you from all that radiation happens to be a gas mask and a filter, so make sure you put it on when needed and replace the filter too. Now to be perfectly fair, I do need to mention that this game is pretty dark and definitely touches some dark subject matter, but I do implore you to try it if you have any interest in it. I honestly don't even want to say too much about the storyline because I really don't want to spoil the experience. With that said, I do want to answer one thing because I did have a few people ask me just how much of a horror game it is, and well, it's creepy but not horror. Either way, I would say it's worth pushing through if you can handle it. Now when it comes to the gameplay, it's just as solid. The gunplay feels great and it feels impactful when you shoot a gun. The gun and gear customization is also really good and worth noting. You'll be able to find attachments by scavenging the wasteland and upgrading your equipment throughout the story. Not to mention, there's a good variety of guns to actually play around with. The game has some open world concepts with linear design, and I have to give them credit because I think they absolutely nailed what they were trying to achieve in that aspect. Overall, as you can tell, I think quite highly of Metro Exodus. I think it's an absolutely fantastic title, and I'm really glad more people are gonna get to play it. So that's two pretty solid titles for the month of February for all Stadia Pro members. But let me know, what do you think of the games being included? Are you happy with the selection, or would you have preferred two other games? Myself, I think it's probably the best set of games that we've received thus far, but I will admit I'm a little bit disappointed since, as you can tell, I've played through them both. But it is what it is, and I'll gladly add Metro Exodus to my Stadia library. In fact, I may even play through it again. Now, if you enjoyed the video or found it helpful at all, be sure to hit that like button as it really does help the channel out, and if you're wanting more content like this, be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell as well. Today's end of video message is going to be a simple question. Do you plan on picking up Monster Energy Supercross 3, or are you going to pass out on it? As for myself, I'm still not too sure whether or not I'm gonna pick it up, but I do want to know if you're interested in seeing that sort of content, so if so, do let me know in the comment section below, as it will really influence my decision. Anyways, thanks for watching. This has been Generation Stadia, giving you that daily dose of everything and anything Stadia related. The Gen S community is over 3,400 strong and growing by the day, and until next time, I'll catch you in the clouds.